Hello, it's Brandon from Tech Buzz Ireland. Today we have the Poly Voyager Surround 80UC, basically a headset, etc. Box itself doesn't tell us a huge amount of information, just something there. And you would have seen we've done a lot of the Poly things over a number of years. In essence, what are you actually getting? This is a headset that typically, I suppose, a lot of people in an office would be very familiar with. Excuse the condition of the box. This is a demo model we've been given there, so it's in this demo sample, so it's been used, etc. What you're actually getting with it there is the unit, and I suppose in essence that's the headset itself. We'll come back to that in a few moments. A couple of real positives they've actually, I suppose, listened and learned. Most people on a hybrid model there at the moment, going into the office a few days a week, for example, depending on the company you're working with. They've given us a good strong case. So the case is actually solid with a poly thing there. They're really positive because I throw it in the laptop heading into work. Probably takes me about an hour and a half, and sometimes commuting, so I can be listening to the earphones with my phone on the way in and then swapping over to my laptop on that. And the case itself is really good, and this little pouch as well, which is really good because you can put it in. And this is one of the other little units that I've got in it. But I suppose part of this is you're getting up to a wireless range of 30 meters. You can connect it with two devices using the unit itself. It supports all the main Bluetooth profiles. You can connect with Bluetooth. You can have a little dongle that plugged into it, and it comes with a USB-C adapter there at the moment. Head cushions there as well, nice and leathery type there at the moment. Obviously it goes over your ear, connecting there. Touch screens on the volumes, and it's got programmable buttons to be used. I suppose when you look at the unit itself, looking around, you can actually see the Teams logo here at the moment, which obviously office type scenario. You can see the light there as well. It's adaptive in terms. It's got a left and a right. I'm giving you some details. I'm just looking a bit more into the details. So I've got an on-off button here. And that'll just it'll actually talk to me when I'm hearing it. I've got a USB-C, and the red button will be my mute button. You can't see any volume button up and down, but actually it's a touch screen, so as I touch it up, it'll go forward, turn the volume up, turn it down. If I want to skip a track, I can go forward, and I'll give you a demo on that there. In terms of, depending on your style, you can stretch it out, you can put it in to what's actually comfortable there. And that gives you just a very quick flavour of the use. In terms of connecting to your phone, for example, you don't need to use any software. So basically you can just Bluetooth it directly to your phone and it works, okay? Same thing with a laptop. You can just connect it directly Bluetooth to your laptop. It works. Similarly, if you've got the USB-C connection, connect adapter, which goes directly into your USB-C port on your laptop, for example. On there, that will actually connect in. You don't need any software. While I'm saying that you don't need any software, and it does work absolutely, there's no issues whatsoever. If you want to get more out of it, then what you do is you download the Poly Lens app, whether that's on your mobile and that allows you to configure a lot of the other sessions there at the moment. Is you can change the language, enable features, choose preferred equalizer settings, for example, battery meter, and there's other functionalities within the software you can connect it, and you can update the firmware, and you can manage notifications and alerts and how you configure it, and find my handset if it's the mobile there. So there's some of the functionalities you can actually use with it there. But to give you a bit more idea how it's actually operating, what typically we would be doing is, most people I would say, is probably on a Teams call, and on the Teams call people will be using the main functionalities. So here's your typical laptop. This is a typical MS Teams call, and you'd have your headset there. What we would typically be doing is you can see the volume changing here, and again obviously turn it up. Typically 9 times out of 10 what you do is you'd set that standard and you wouldn't adjust it at all. Again, on the call here, most common feature you'd be using is the mute. Hear the mute, you can see the button. You can barely hear this is talking to me as well and saying mute on, mute off, etc. So you can do, and that's the main functionality. Obviously, call qualities, etc. Going back to what I said earlier about the left and right. If you're right-handed, your buttons are very good for you, that you can touch it here and do whatever you want to do with it there, and you've got the mute. Unfortunately, if you're left-handed, you've no functionalities here. So you can use it, but obviously you've got to put your hand around on that. You can't swap it backwards because the microphones don't pick up the same ideas. In terms of call quality, this is where it's kind of strange. I've used an awful lot of earphones which are specifically for office type scenarios. Quite good, very, very good for the audio, surround noise, etc. But when I go to listen to my normal music, for example, it's a bit dubious, wouldn't be as good. These are slightly different in terms of how you can connect them. Downloading the Poly Lens app for my mobile, so this can be connected to my laptop and to my phone at the same time. So basically 2 units themselves connecting there. And straight away it's telling me it's 38% battery, status is connected. Now that I'm in the unit, it's telling me the device is up to date. And I can go into the software itself and start saying, what do I want to do? Obviously, the first thing I would probably do is the software update just to make sure it's going, ringtones and volumes, different noise adaptive modes there at the moment. I can change the environment. I can have it speech, transparency mode there at the moment. I can have different sensors. Sensors is quite interesting because typically auto answer when I put it on my head, but also when I take it off of my head, I want it to basically go pause. So if I'm listening to a bit of music, for example, I take it off, put it on pause, and then I can custom to say what I want to do with it. Anti-startle, there's lots of noise exposure limiting. Reset device is something's on the bottom here. I always love that because whatever configurations I've done, I've broke it, I've made changes that I'm really crazy on. I have the option going back. So within there, and this actually works in terms of the different volumes, the different settings that you can actually change in there. To manage all, so what is the call qualities, the incoming calls, what are the features, answering call, answer ignore, so I can actually say what way I like it there at the moment, hold reminders, etc. And it's got an awful lot of the equalizer. So this is where it's kind of different than what a lot of the other ones there. So if I'm into a specific type of music, different type of tone, I can actually save that and I can have that for the equalizer. So when people talk about the bass and tone, you can actually adjust it. A couple of things on this is different that I mentioned is typically you have one or the other. So it's great for music, really good for music if you're listening to you're at home, but it's only okay. It doesn't have the noise cancelling for externally when you're in an office, for example, or it's brilliant in the office, but actually when you listen to your personal music, it doesn't get the highs and lows. This is different, that it accounts for both, and it does both things very much there. So it allows you to configure it the way you want it, etc. So it's on par with your typical normal earphones that you would actually have when you're listening to music. And yes, what I was showing you before earlier on, those functions about skip. So if I was listening to music, for example, my Spotify, I can skip my tracks, I can turn the volume up, and I can configure it and those type things there. So it's got all the software features that you would like, etc., that you would need on a typical call, whether it's on your mobile or your laptop. I've used it on both. A couple of observations from me is, personally, that cable is down to personal choice. I don't particularly like it. It's not what wouldn't be a fan. I've given these to a colleague who's actually left-handed, and they were weren't as comfortable with it. The other thing I've noticed as well is when I'm on lots of calls during the week, I put them down and I pick it up very quickly. I've often accidentally picked them up the wrong way and just put them left and right incorrectly. So basically is I put them back way around, because yes, there is a big red button there that allows, visually I can see it, and I can see the power button there. It's got the USB. Love the idea. It does talk to you. It says connected. It tells me I'm on mute, etc. Sometimes on my Teams calls, even though this does says Teams, the mute button has not actually worked. So in other words, when I press it on mute, it physically mutes it on this, so nobody can hear me, but my mute on my MS Teams. That's been used in numerous Teams calls, numerous varieties, whether it's my private laptop or a work-related call. I have used it on both, and it has actually, I suppose, configured different how it actually works. So that's just something to be aware of. It's not always seamless that it's going to work as such from that point of view. The app is free. You do not need to use the app itself, Poly Lens, but it is worth to give you extra functionalities there. And really, I think when you pull the laptop into it, as well as your phone on both sides, it is really good for that. Battery life is quite good too, and there's a couple of other things in the background which is quite good. But depending on your requirements, because it's got the USB-C charger there at the moment, you're talking about 21 hours of talk time, of listening time on that. But if, for example, you were on a call and it started to get low for whatever reasons going, you could just plug your normal USB-C phone charger into this. It will actually work to extend the time there, and you can click yourself there. Mute button is probably the most common thing there, so it's nice to have it dedicated. And again, I stress sometimes it hasn't actually worked when I've used it there. Material wise, it's, I won't say heavy, it's a reasonable weight there. It takes a bit of getting used to, I suppose, over your head, and one thing to be always cautious if it's used in an office is to ensure that you're not shouting, because at 275 grams, it's reasonable. I've used ones which are actually lighter there in the past, but it does the job of what is going on there. But being careful when you have the noise cancelling type area on, that you're not shouting in an office. At home it wouldn't be too bad, but listening to other things, your surroundings, is something that I've seen in the past with a lot of people. Overall, leather material, quite strong, durable in that sense. A couple of scratches on it here, and I said this wasn't new when we got it, so there's a couple of scratches here and there. Touchscreen is nice because you don't need this extra, I suppose, buttons, this thing there. But typically with me, I connect up the volume at one stage on a laptop. I never change it. It keeps the same volume for all my calls, etc. And it covers, well, fits in the ear, and obviously that comes through. Overall, as I would expect from Poly, nothing more in terms of, I know there's been a few changes in the company in the past. It's hard to actually fault the, I suppose, to give it praise, there's an awful lot of good. Call quality is excellent, battery life is good. The left and the right is just a personal niggle. That little bit of cable is a personal niggle there itself. That's just for me there. The fact is, when you're putting it on left and right, is probably my thing there. The case, excellent. So the connectivity is excellent in terms of seamlessly, probably one of the easiest ones that I've ever done a search for. Connected to my phone, connected to my laptop. And again, when I was connecting it, I had a dongle here as well. So basically this is paired already to this. So I just plug this into my laptop and off I go. I don't have to do anything else. So that just connects Bluetooth, the Wi-Fi to my laptop. Really, really simple. The extra feature with the software gives you more functionalities, etc., to your requirements. But that's how you want to connect it. I like the idea of having been able to connect to two different devices, whether it's a home laptop, anything, or having two connected simultaneously. It's just something I've always liked the idea in the past, carrying two phones. In terms of getting damaged, having the case gives it the protection. Having that bit of flexibility can kind of go on that. And that is the Poly Surround 80 UC. Thank you.